Domestic violence cases on the rise locally. Why and how you can avoid trouble.
Parents are preparing for a peaceful gathering against Fargo Public Schools' decision for distance learning.
And the CDC is making some recommendations for Halloween. Valley News Live at 10 starts now.
Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
Domestic violence is on the rise in the Valley, with experts concerned that the numbers will only go higher.
Valley News Team's Katie Opperly dug into the reasons why and the types of violence being witnessed locally.
We have seen people at our doors, and the phones are really, honestly, they ring all day long.
More and more people are calling on the Rape and Abuse Crisis Center in Fargo for help. And what has them worried beyond the numbers is the severity of violence from each case.
We are seeing more of an increased risk of lethality, or when I say lethality, more severe violence, more extreme violence with each particular case.
Fargo police report an increase in the number of calls they are responding to, comparing each month this year to last. Every month except for one since the pandemic began shows an increase in people calling for help. Corbel says pressure relating to COVID-19 shares much of the blame.
When you start talking about loss of employment, a possible increase in drug and alcohol use and isolation, these are all increased risks for lethality.
Where do we go from here? As the pandemic continues, it's important to be aware.
I think the best way to diffuse something is to stay away from it. If you're in a situation and you feel unsafe, and you don't believe you can leave that situation, I would always recommend calling law enforcement.
Corbel says to trust your gut, and if something doesn't seem right for you personally or for someone you know, reach out and ask questions.
Please use us as a resource. Call us. We have advocacy and counseling available, and that's what we're here for.
In Fargo, Katie Opperly, Valley News Live.
Pandemic or not, resources are available. For more information about how you can seek help, we have links on the Valley News Live website or the VNL News app.
Clay County deputies will be getting body cameras. Sheriff Mark Empting says it's a great tool to remain transparent with the community and to hold deputies accountable. They will be used to help with investigations. The sheriff says a video from body cameras will not be available if it's part of an ongoing investigation, but could be released after it's closed.
Several parents of Fargo Public School students are planning a peaceful gathering against the district's plan to temporarily move both middle and high school students to distance learning next month due to COVID-19. Out of more than 11,000 students in the district, school leaders are reporting 35 positive COVID cases. A number of parents tell us that doesn't justify the distance learning decision and makes them worried students will never go back to the classroom once the change is made.
If they actually saw a large spike in positive cases in the schools, I could totally understand that. But if you're looking at 0.3% of our student population being positive right now, 0.3%, not even 0.5%, that just doesn't warrant going to all online.
Parents say next Monday's demonstration will start outside the Fargo Public Schools District office just before 2 p.m. and they'll be there about an hour.
The Fargo School District has approved a new budget for 2021. Despite a big change in budget numbers, leaders within the school district say no more money will be coming out of taxpayers' wallets. The board gave preliminary approval of the budget in June, but it was adjusted by more than $1 million due to staffing, enrollment, and state aid. COVID has led to added costs, in part to improve airflow in buildings. District leaders say they're grateful for the extra funding that's coming in, and taxpayers should be as well.
What I think has really saved us are those additional dollars through the CARES Act that we have received. Without those, we would be looking at a very different situation. So those have really helped us to cover those extra costs that we normally would not have.
Gap adds that this year's budget is especially tricky as things are constantly changing. If you want to look at the specific budget numbers, head to the VNL News app and click on this story.
Looking at our daily COVID-19 numbers, today North Dakota is reporting 266 new COVID cases with 3 new deaths. That's a daily positivity rate of 9.14%. 196 people have died. In Minnesota, the state is reporting 513 new cases and 10 new deaths, bringing the death toll to more than 1,900.
Still no sign of 34-year-old Craig Milton. He was last seen on September 17th in Fargo in his red 1999 Saturn SL with Oregon plates 653 KYU, along with two unidentified men. He was reportedly giving the men a ride to Belcourt. He hasn't been seen or heard from since. He's 5'11", 200 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. He was last seen wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt, and if you have any information on his whereabouts, call Fargo Police. The phone number there at the bottom of your screen, 701-235-4493.
During the first few months of the pandemic, oil producers in North Dakota dealt with a historic drop in demand, causing oil prices to crash. State regulators say there's still unprecedented uncertainty as they wait for demand to come back. With people working from home or unemployed and traveling less, demand has been low and unpredictable. That could hurt the state because producers may choose to invest in energy development closer to refineries, like those in Texas and Oklahoma.
So the oil industry throughout its history has been volatile. There's been ups and downs and twists and turns at every corner over the years. And so this is certainly at another level of magnitude that the industry has not seen before.
Kringstead says while many of the wells that companies shut off earlier this year have come back online, uncertainty could force another shutdown. That could cost the state millions of dollars in tax revenue. One of the biggest issues in North Dakota oil fields has been the flaring of natural gas that cannot be captured for use. At one point, the flaring rate was around 25%. For years, the state set goals to reduce the amount. With producers hitting their goals, Governor Burgum and the State Industrial Commission have changed some of the rules, and that includes operators using a different formula to calculate how much gas has been flared.
As we went into the downturn of 2015, we also exceeded the gas capture requirements. And so we cannot take our eye off the ball. Just because we're there now doesn't mean we'll stay there.
North Dakota producers cannot burn off more than 12% of what they extract. They have been meeting that goal for most of the year.
President Donald Trump plans to announce his pick for Supreme Court nominee on Saturday night, and it appears Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has the votes to move forward. Alice Barr has the latest on what promises to be a contentious fight ahead.
Republican Mitt Romney saying today he supports a Senate vote on President Trump's nominee to replace Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, all but ensuring that Democrats won't have the numbers to derail the confirmation process.
My liberal friends have over many decades gotten very used to the idea of having a liberal court, and that's not written in the stars.
Senators meeting on Capitol Hill today as Majority Leader Mitch McConnell games out whether to push the vote through in record time before the election or wait until after, taking the pressure off vulnerable incumbents up for re-election. Critics are still crying foul because of the Republican reversal, blocking President Obama's last Supreme Court nominee, claiming it was too close to the 2016 election, then 8 months away, but moving ahead now with just 42 days to go.
Leader McConnell has basically decided the rules don't apply to Republicans, even their own rules. It's just brute political force.
Leader McConnell claiming it's a different story when the president and Senate are from the same party.
History and precedent were on this Senate majority side in 2016, and they are overwhelmingly on our side now.
Democrats concerned a new Trump nominee could help overturn the Affordable Care Act in a case to be heard this fall, and vow they'll do everything in their power to slow the process. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Raising the stakes even more, both sides are keenly aware that the upcoming election could lead to a series of legal challenges that may ultimately wind up in the Supreme Court.
Later on Valley News Live at 10, Amazon is looking to Peloton with their own bike.
But next, Hutch is in with a look at our Wednesday weather forecast.